Believe in the Land, Tony Camino there. I'm Andy Billman here. A lot of trades going on with the Guardians. Actually, not a lot of trades, not plural. One trade. Super Rosario, as used to call him. He's no more. Can't say Super Rosario anymore. But that's okay. We have all these new guys that have been coming up through the ranks, like a Freeman, like an Arias who's starting to shine against the White Sox. Rocchio, new fun name to say. And all these other things. Tony wrote an excellent article today. Check it out on BelieveInTheLand.com. He wrote and talked about certain these amount of things. So, Tony, we'll start off with this. If you were said Francona and you were eating ice cream before the game and you put down your cribbage cards, who would you be penciling in at shortstop?
Well, for the majority of the days, I think Tyler Freeman has earned the right to be the primary guy. Whether I don't think he deserves 100% of the role or even 90% of it because we've got other guys. But his stats have been great. He's putting the ball in play. He's making good contact. Good defender. He's fast. I think he's even going to be a great number 2 hitter because he puts the ball in play, avoids double plays. And I think Gabriel Arias' ability to hit the ball hard shows that he deserves to rotate it in. But if it were me every night, I'm penciling in Tyler Freeman.
Yeah, I'm with Tony on this. I know there's a lot of people excited about Rocchio. I'm just going to say this politely. Sometimes what you do in Columbus doesn't mean you're going to do that in Cleveland. Ohio, it's a big drastic. I actually think Freeman has shown enough. Tony made a good point. Shortstops, it's weird. Back in the 80s, shortstops weren't known for power. They have been known in the 90s and today because of Jeter and Garcia Pera and the likes. People remember A-Rod was a shortstop too for a long time. But I do think Freeman defensively is there. I think he actually looks confident out in the field, which is a good thing. And I think that he won't miss a beat there. And he hits. He does hit. Now, does he have power? No. But he hits. He hits. All right, so that's number 1. Number 2, if you're again Terry Francona, and you said, okay, what is your dream outfield? What would it be, Tony?
Yeah, unfortunately, my dream outfield and Tito's probably are not going to align, but I'm definitely getting Miles Straw to the bench. Nothing against Straw. Great defender. Not as good this year, but great defender. The best we have. Fast. Doesn't steal bases, but he's fast. But he's providing nothing but singles. So if it's me, it's going to be Will Brennan in center this year. I think Kwan might be the guy eventually. I don't think we haven't seen him there this year, so I don't think you want to do that yet. Right. So Brennan in center, Kwan in left, and then let Oscar be the main guy in right. But then you can also find David Fry some at-bats out there. Maybe even throw Gabriel Arias back out there in a couple days, get him someone a day off. I think doing that gives you your best offense and gives you flexibility to give some of the backup utility guys some at-bats.
Miles Straw last year was easy to defend playing because his defense was that good. I mean, he was a Gold Glove for a reason. I thought to Tony's point, I thought his defense was elite last year. And I actually told people, I'm like, you can't take him out as he's playing that well. His defense this year has been very good. It has not been elite. I agree with you about that. I think the trickiness of this whole outfield thing is they need one power bat. That is where, if you read Tony's articles, Tony talks about it. And that's where I agree. You got to find a power. You can put in there Fry. You can put in there Brennan. You can put in there Kwan. Kwan's got to be in there. I think he's your natural leadoff hitter. But you're going to have to find one power guy. Is it Oscar Gonzalez? Is it a free agent? Time will tell. I will just say, if I were penciling in today, you can't do anything about it. I would be putting Kwan in center or Brennan, depending on which one you want to flip. And I do think now it's a Brennan / SpongeBob situation with Fry roaming around. The one thing I've noticed about Fry, I think the more at-bats he gets, I think he's actually showing some power. So I think that's a good thing. I think we need to see more of that. That's that. I think in the offseason, no matter what this lands up, when they trade Bieber, which will happen, it needs to be for a power outfield bat. Really does. Really, 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 really does. In fact, this wouldn't be such a problem if Josh Bell was hitting more home runs or if Jimenez was doing more. It's another thing for another day. Then there's a catcher situation, which I'll lead off on. Everybody's been talking why the Guardians have been struggling and the pitching's been there. We don't talk enough about the catchers. Zanino was terrible. Cam Gallagher came in. He really hasn't brought anything more than just a nice backup. That's fine. But Bo Naylor's here and Fry's here. And that really needs to be defined. I think it is time to let go of Cam Gallagher. I think we've seen enough. It's nothing against the young man. In a normal situation, I think a Cam Gallagher, Luke Melee last year, we've had guys like this. It's okay. It's time for Bobo to be playing every day, and it's time for Fry to be playing most days and flip-flopping them both. That's what I see here. I'm going to tell people not having a consistent catcher has played a role. This team has not had a consistent catcher and not had a consistent starting rotation. And I do believe it has not helped out at all. It's hurt more than what people think. Catcher Tony, what would Tony do?
Well, I'm a huge Bo Naylor guy, and I think he's shown in spurts that he's deserved it. And if nothing else, the catching competition has shown he deserved it. Tito went in the press conference one of the nights and said something along the lines of, "We're trying to toe the line between competing and building for the future. We want to develop guys but still win." And I agree with that. But to his point, I really think Bo is that guy. He won us a game by himself just the other night against the Royals with 2 home runs. He seems to have timely hitting. Is he as good of a defensive catcher as Cam Gallagher yet? Probably not, but I think that comes with time. He's a great athlete back there, and he hits the ball hard. I think he needs to be the guy more times than not in the lineup.
I think they're going to have to tighten up that situation. I think I was just telling my son this today, he goes, Dad's always next year. I go, boy, I like this team a lot next year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say that. I really do like this team next year. Tony, today, 1 sentence or 2 sentences, do the Guardians win the Central?
I think the Guardians do win the Central. I think they're poised. They've been in these situations before, and Tito can get them to finish it out, and the Twins will choke.
I think the Twinkies are nothing more than that. They're a dessert. The Guardians are far better than the Twinkies. And by the way, with all that to be said, I think their Guardians are blessed to be in this division because any other problem, I think any other division would be there. There's a possibility of trade chatter that Tony mentioned to me that, would we ever make another trade for Aaron Savali, who's actually been pitching well lately? Tell him your theory. I'm going to chime in after that, but what is your theory on Savali?
So Savali's been great, and trading him means the season's essentially over, which is unfortunate, and it's not something I would want. It's not something I would be seeking out. But you have to look at a Mike Clevenger type haul. You have to look what Lucas Giolito just got traded for. The starting pitching market right now is nothing. There's no good pitchers on the market. Lance Lynn has a 7+ ERA. Savali would be far and away the best option. If he returns you an insane haul, a Clevenger type haul, it's tough to not explore it. But I know that sends a message to the clubhouse that we're not trying this year. And that's not the message you want to send. But Savali's value is never going to be higher than it is right now.
That is an analytical mind there, and I love Tony for it. I would never trade Aaron Savali right now, even though it is tempting, because I really do think now it's about not bodies, but a body. And actually, the Guardians would have to make another trade to get a Savali back. I thought about this a lot today, Tony. I think even with the haul, I would keep Savali. I know people are like, why? What did Tony just say? It's so tempting. I get it. It is time to win this thing. From what I'm hearing from people, it sounds like McKenzie might still be having surgery. That's a terrible thought. Shane Bieber's not going to be here after this year. I know people are going to get upset. I'm telling you, not happening to Drew Rosenhaus. And that finally leaves Claude Quantrill, and then you got Plesac in Siberia. You just don't have much as a veteran pitching. So I think because of that, you're going to have to make amends with Savali, even though you might be passing up a haul possibly, which I don't disagree with Tony. And by the way, Savali, before his injury in 2021, was on his way to being an all-star that year. He was that good before he got that blister in Wrigley. So he has shown potential there. All right, so that's the Aaron Savali thing. I do think, again, the Guardians win the Central. So does Tony. We agree about that. The Savali thing is very possible, as we all said. Breaking down all these situations, the one thing I'll end on, and then I'll have Tony do one more point. Guardians have to get this power bat thing figured out next year. And it means bringing in a free agent. I thought Josh Bell would be able to supplement enough. I think Josh Bell's done okay, but he hasn't done enough. And boy, Jimenez has got to do more. Got to do more than what he's doing right now.
Yeah, well, if you want to be optimistic and even go check out the article I wrote about dream targets, there's rumblings of Nolan Arenado getting traded. We could go right out on that Paul Goldschmidt wave. Never going to happen, but we can dream, right?
We can dream. Tony will do the Cavs. Tony's going to be a Browns guy. You're going to see him more in the Instagram show, which will be fun. That's Tony Camino there. Billman here. Haven't had enough coffee today. Only had 3 iced coffees today. Tony, thank you very much. Check out Tony's work. It's very, very good. It's very, very thoughtful. It's very, very analytical, which is usually not what I do. So it's a nice compliment to this website. Check it out. Thanks, Tony. See you guys soon. Go Guards.